Philosophy Fridays, fellas. Probably my favorite quotation of all time. This comes from the Wright Brothers, inventors of the airplane. And they published several papers called The Early History of the Airplane. It's in public domain. Anybody, if you just type in Early History of the Airplane, Wright Brothers. But this sort of encapsulates just about everything I do with Black Warrior Lures. Having set out with absolute faith in the existing scientific data, we were driven to doubt one thing after another till finally, after 2 years of experiment, we cast it all aside and decided to rely upon our own investigation. Truth and error were everywhere, so intimately mixed as to be... Take 3, it's taking car. And enabled us at the outset to avoid effort in many directions in which results would have been hopeless. The thing is that for the first 2 years, the Wright brothers were failing. They just weren't making any progress. Actually, that's not true. The progress they were making were in terms of the control. See, the Wright brothers had a choice to make. There were essentially 2 schools of thought. First of all, they studied 15 years worth of academic papers written worldwide. Their father had inspired them in flight as children, bringing home a play helicopter, one of those toys. They were already building kites, and they were already bicycle shop owners. So they're understanding simple mechanics, lightweight designs, to make things work. But they didn't take to the science side of it until after Otto Lilienthal died in one of his glider experiments. One school of thought figured that if we can just build an engine, powerful enough to make anything fly, then we're good to go. Another school of thought said, well, we don't need an engine. What we need to figure out is how does the stinking wings work? And once we figure out how the wings work, then we'll add an engine as like an afterthought. They chose to learn how the wings worked first. And they chose Kill Devil Hill in North Carolina. They go down during the winters and do all their experimentations in the winter over several weeks period. They just, again, like they said, they began to question one thing after another, and then they finally came to the conclusion that the scientific data, what everybody's saying, is wrong, right? We're gonna just throw all that away, start with a clean sheet of paper, and start gathering our own data. Within 1 year, after they made that decision to gather their own data, found out that, yep, the wings that we're using based on the old data just don't generate the lift we need. That's the problem. I think they did an aircraft in 1901, then they built a whole nother one for 1902. And in 1902, they said, okay, this thing flies, it's time to put an engine on it. Now they had to build their own engine. It's not like they could just go down to Harbor Freight and get a new engine like I put on my boat up there, right? All they needed was about 8 horsepower. I think they eventually, 1908 is when they displayed it in Paris. They got all their patents and stuff in line, and then the rest is basically history. I mean, it only took another year for all the other designers to say, okay, this is how airplane wings work, now let's go do it. And from there on, you have all the designs that you see in World War I, then World War II, then all the way up today. We're like to a couple of guys who are trying everything that they were told to do, doing it exactly the way they should do it. It's still not working, and they just decided, we got to throw all that away, and we got to find the truth for ourselves. It was good that they studied all that initial data because they got what we call a grammar phase. They understood the basic difficulty of the problems of heavier than air, man-powered heavier than air flight. They understood the problems. So had they just gone off on their own, they would have gone down one of these rabbit holes that one of their predecessors had gone down and probably either gotten killed or would have just, like the other ones, just come to so many dead ends that they just gave up. This is exactly why you see me doing handlines. I spent years on that river fishing and not catching hardly anything. Hardly anything. I tried fly fishing. I tried live bait fishing. I tried tying my own flies. I tried lures. I tried everything everybody else is doing, and I tried catfishing, tried all this stuff. Hardly catching anything. Then I realized something. Okay, just like the Wright brothers said, the scientific data that they were based on was flawed, in error. And I realized, I said, I get it. it was a similar situation to me. I realized the reason everybody that I see out there on the river is fishing is they're sport fishermen. They're not in a situation or wanting to be in a situation where they have to depend on catching fish in order to eat and live. They're just going out there to have fun. So it doesn't really matter if they catch fish or not. Well, if I use the methods that they're using, their entire philosophy is fundamentally different, and I'm going to have the same results they're having by not catching anything. I said I started catfishing, and I bought a catfishing challenge catfishing class from a guy named Chad Ferguson. You can go buy that today. I don't have an affiliate link or anything today. It was a good book, good thing. And then also start making my own floats. I said I'm going to make my own floats, and started doing that and started catching them. About a year or so afterward, I just couldn't find the fish and still couldn't catch them, not reliably. And back then I started dabbling back into trolling and stuff again, and then I realized something. Whenever back then I was rod and reel, I said whenever I hold the rod in line with the line, the direction of travel of the line, I caught more fish. You know, why? Because it was more sensitive. If I held the rod perpendicular, in other words, the rod's going this way and the line's going that way, I caught fewer fish. It was less sensitive. I found that, oh, wait a minute, when I take my fishing floats off, I catch more fish. Why? Because it's more sensitive. When I put the fishing floats back on, I catch fewer fish. Why? Because it's less sensitive. And you guys know how sensitive my floats are. And I realized, wait a minute, I can't, just like the Wright Brothers, after a couple of years of doing this, I realized the more stuff I have between my hands and that line reduces the sensitivity. Yet, you look at the sport fishing industry and they're telling me I gotta have more and more and more stuff. And I'm like, but my own investigations are telling me I need less and less stuff. I need more durable, less complicated gear instead of less durable, more complicated gear. I sold my sonar. My rods and reels, I just packed them away and didn't start doing it. A couple of those orange red reels you've seen me, that some of you, a couple of you bought my used ones. I said, man, I'm just gonna start using them. And I just said, I'm gonna literally just start dragging weight below the boat and just seeing if I can catch fish. And now you guys are seeing me catch fish, right? Just like the Wright Brothers. They weren't doing what everybody else did. They did it to learn the basics of the problem. Once they realized the basis of the data is just sort of flawed, they had to change and they had to do what nobody else was doing. And that's when they started having the breakthroughs. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And so that's sort of the philosophy of what I do here at Black Warrior Lures. If you're not having success in your fishing, first of all, learn everything you can. Go ahead and read the books. Go ahead and study. Go ahead and try all those things. But at some point, you're going to have to get out there on the river and conduct your own experiments for your waters to see what actually works. And a lot of people say, man, I want to see you doing rod and reel. Well, quite frankly, I would rather eat. If I got to choose between, this is going to be a very frank thing. If I have to choose between entertaining people on YouTube and eating, sorry, I'm going to eat. Because quite frankly, long after all you people are gone, I'm still going to have to put meat in the freezer, right? I'm using YouTube as a way to pass on what I've learned. That's why the Wright brothers wrote the early history of the airplane. Because had they not written that, I wouldn't have had that to teach me. I got to get this product here out to a customer by Monday. So I better start sanding. One more thing, I like to, if you like these sorts of things and these sort of philosophical talks or whatever, I have a book on Amazon called The Catfisherman's Prayer Book. Several of you have bought it. And if you're interested in there's more talks like that, although it's based on my own poems and poetry and those sorts of things. And I'll see you guys next Friday for more Philosophy Fridays.